as a musician, as an artist, like how do you separate the business side, like following trends and doing that, versus like the art of what you do and staying true to yourself?
It's a very good question because it's a hard one to answer because I've never not done both. So I don't even know how not to. Mm-hmm. But musically, like my manager's not even allowed in the studio. Nobody's allowed.
Really?
Yeah, no business people allowed in the studio. You know, this art, that's what we do, you know? So we don't have any influence, but it's a good question because that's a hard one to answer. But I'm sure it's influenced, you know, I'm sure it is at some point, subconsciously or what, but never really go into it being like, you know, this song is going to do this for this market and this demographic. We're going to try to write great songs, really.
Converse Cowboy Journey has given me an opportunity to sit down with some amazing performers that are living the Western lifestyle, where it is my job to tease out their habits and routines so that you can apply and test yourself in your own life. I've learned, I've grown personally, I've been enlightened, and I've been humbled. Above all, I realize that there is no destination in this life, no goal achieved or money made that can replace the feeling of flow and the pursuit of doing what you love to do. With a growth mindset, I'm constantly asking questions and pursuing knowledge. The Converse Cowboy is a platform that allows me to do just that. On this tour, we head to Fort Worth, Texas, where most of the Western world gathered for the NFR, the NCHA Futurity, and Cowboy Christmas. We set up at Schaefer Outfitter in the stockyards to record podcasts with some incredible people. I'm excited and eager to share their stories with you all. I'm Mike Roberts. This is the Converse Cowboy. Brought to you by Kerry Kelley, Spurs, and Schaefer Outfitter.
So here we are, we're in Fort Worth. It's a very cool vibe down here right now. You know, with the NFR in town, the Cutting Horse Futurity's going on. There's Cowboy Christmas downtown. So a lot of cool shit going on, a lot of people everywhere. Good time to be in Fort Worth, good time to be in Cowtown, and I'm grateful for your time, you know, taking time out of your day to sit down today. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank Kerry Kelley and Johnny Purcelli for setting this deal up.
Yeah, Johnny's my real estate agent.
Right on.
Slash mentor.
Right on. So thank you to Schaefer for facilitating this for us as well. William Clark Green, known as one of the best live acts in Texas.
Maybe. Well, I don't know.
That's the rumor, right?
We work hard at it. But, yeah, thank you for the compliment.
Yeah. So 6 albums under your belt. I want to get into a number of different things, you know, just mindset as it relates to writing, to playing live stuff, all of the stuff. I'm trying to think of who it was that said it. It said, to be a good poet, you have to have scars.
Yeah.
I think it was Ray Wiley Hubbard. Actually, it was a song lyric.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's, you know, with songwriting for me, it started in 8th grade. I learned how to play guitar in College Station, which where I went to middle school and high school there. And for me, it was always, I just always wrote. And I guess it was therapeutic, I guess. Especially whenever you're in that age, you know, teenage years from 8 to 8th grade to senior of high school. I mean, not only does your body go through a lot of changes, but your mind does too. And you know, out through sports and all that stuff, I mean, it was just kind of it was just something to write down on paper and get everything out. And
what were you writing though? Was it like a journal, or were you writing
songs?
songs?
Writing songs, yeah. I was writing songs. And you know, I didn't have any kind of recording apparatus. I'm not saying like I'm not that old. This wasn't like before computers, but like we didn't have a computer in the house. You know what I mean? And so there was really no way to record stuff. I mean, so I didn't record any of those songs. And I still have the notebook of all the songs. And it's funny looking back through them because the spelling is so terrible. But I don't even know how the songs went. You know, I wish I did. You know, I wish I knew the melody or whatever I was trying to do.
Were you playing at that time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As soon as I learned how to play guitar, I learned how to play at free church lessons at St. Mary's, right across the street from the Chicken, like the Methodist church or that Robert O'Keefe talks about. It's like a Presbyterian church. The one right next to it's Catholic church, and that's where I learned how to play guitar on Church Street in College Station, right behind the Dixie Chicken. And yeah, it's just always something I did, and then I never really thought it would turn into a career. I never thought it was possible. And then, you know, it just kind of fell into place, honestly.
Yeah. So so it wasn't necessarily a dream, like you were just doing that as kind of an outlet? It
wasn't attainable. I didn't think it was obtainable.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was obtainable, and I really didn't know. I mean, I thought, you know, the guys that I heard, if you were on the radio, I thought you were a millionaire. Yeah. You know, I thought you were George Strait. You know, and once I got, out of high school and got into college and realized, and then I turned 21. I was playing bars from pretty much 17 to 21, but when I turned 21, I was playing in actual venues because the venues wouldn't let me play. So I had to play like hotel bars and all that stuff. And
that's in Lubbock, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I got to Lubbock and really figured out that there was this underground scene of guys, vans and trailers, and and they're, going out there and playing, they're touring, and I just didn't know that was possible.
Yeah. A lot of greats came out of Lubbock. I think Joe Ely says Lubbock is a very romantic place if you just got out of prison.
My favorite quote's from Delbert McClinton. He said, someone asked him why they think so many good songwriters come out of Lubbock. And he said he thinks it's because of the DDT they sprayed in the alleys.
That's awesome.
Which is hilarious. But yeah, we just lost Mac Davis. I'm very fortunate and feel very blessed to be part of the Lubbock music community. I mean, I'm not from there. I'm from Tyler, Texas, which is as, not West Texas as you can possibly get. And then I went to high school. I was going to high school in College Station, but I'm an honorary West Texan. So I love West Texas. If Lubbock wasn't so damn far away from everything else, I'd live there.
Yeah, I've only been there a couple of times, but anytime I get to West Texas, man, I love it.
Man, the people there are just unbelievable. It's just the best people I've ever met. I mean, we do our music festival there. It is my home for my music, for my business, and where we started. And it's just a great community. I mean, like I said, if it wasn't so far from everything, I would live there in a heartbeat. I mean, my closest friends live there, and it's just such a. I don't mean this in a negative way. It's such a lazy city. Like it's not that the people are lazy. It's just so laid back.
Like time slows down, right?
Man, if you go, yeah, exactly. Like if you go to from Austin to Lubbock, I mean, the change of pace is like night and day. It's just. People just aren't in a hurry, and it's so nice. Summers are awesome. It's not too hot. I love Lubbock.
Yeah. That's awesome. So take me back early in your career. I read a quote that I think you quoted Wade Bowen, some advice that he gave to you. It says you have to, when getting into the music industry, you have to devote 10 years of your life to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I said, well, I was going to do 2, and then he told me I was a fucking idiot. My whole goal was to be 25 years old, married, wife, and kids. I mean, that was the thought, and yeah, it's just, if it was easy, everybody would do it type mentality, and yeah, I mean, once he told me that, I was like, I mean, I had to take a really long look at the sacrifice that it was going to make. I even talked to my mom about it, and I was still in college, and I was like, it's going to take 10 years. It's going to take 10 years and it might not happen, And I've got to bust my ass for 10 years, and obviously they wanted me to stay in school, but they didn't want me to do both. So I had to pick and choose. I could do school, but I had to stop touring. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of at crossroads, and I knew it was a huge life decision. And so I told my mom that I was going to pursue music as hard as I could until I was about 30. And she goes, "Okay, well, you're not going to go to college." I was like, "Well, I'm going to take out student loans and finish." And so I did both, and it took me a while, but I did both because I was touring too. But if it wasn't for college, I wouldn't have the career. I mean, it came hand. Right when I graduated high school, I went and worked on a feedlot up in Amarillo, and I was still writing songs, but I mean, college really opened up bars and venues. I mean, I learned all that stuff through that, I didn't. This was before Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff. The knowledge was slim. I mean, I didn't know about Blaine's Pub or Blue Light or Golden Light Amarillo. I didn't know about Billy Bob's. I didn't even know about Billy Bob's when I was in high school. Or, how would we? Yeah. We'd never been to Fort Worth. How would we even know about it? It's not like it's on a billboard in College Station. Right. You don't have the internet at the house to even, it's not like, the information's so accessible. Yeah. So it's just like, those lessons were just so, there were big decisions that I made back then that were just, flip of a coin to line us up in the right direction. So it's kind of crazy.
Was it kind of like one of those things, did it kind of take pressure off knowing that it was going to take at least 10 years? Like, was that like a deadline for you? Like, if it doesn't work by then I'll go to the
No, it was a complete life-changing decision. I mean, at that point in your life, you're 23, 24, and all your buddies are graduating and getting these jobs paying $80,000, $90,000 a year, and you can make, and you got to go eat shit for 8 more years. I didn't make money until I was 29 years old.
Yeah, I think you said the first 4 years were the worst.
The first 4 were awful. I lived in my truck, and my parent, I did not ask for any help and my mom was willing to, but I was stubborn about it. I wanted to do it on my own. I lived in my damn truck with my dog. It was a blue heeler, and he was gassy, and yeah, we ate shit. I was on the road constantly. If I wasn't playing a show, I was on radio tour for 4 years straight.
The only source of income was
I had no income.
Music.
I had no. My last job was mowing lawns. I worked for a company up in Lubbock, and I remember the day I quit too. I made enough to pay my rent. And here's another. I'm 34 now, and I just bought a house that I'm actually living in this last December. So I didn't pay rent. My last time I paid rent was or mortgage. Or rent was in college. I was 24. Was the last time I paid rent, and I lived in my truck, and then I lived at our family farm, which I didn't live there. I just did laundry there and got back on the road. But I mean, I did since I'm 34, so I did that for 10 years. I mean, I just last December bought a house. So, and then I bought a bus, slept on that a lot, and so it's just you're constantly traveling. I mean, you're gone for 45 days. What's the point? Yeah. Why have a mortgage if you're gone all the time? So I just didn't do it. So. Right. But I'm sure glad I did during COVID, because that bus would have got real freaking old after being stuck in that thing all year. But.
Talk about that a little bit. Like, how has COVID affected you and what you do?
It was a nice break for me. Yeah. I mean, I don't have kids. I don't have stress. I've been poor before. I can be poor again. Our online sales did really well this year. I think people wanted to help, which is awesome. But we didn't really ask for it. It was a good break for me. I wasn't burned out last year, but I was pushing it as hard as I could have, and I needed a break. Yeah. And so it brought a lot of clarity. It honestly brought more love, and realized how lucky I am and how amazing my career has been. And so when you just go all the time, you just kind of miss where you're at, and honestly gave me time for reflection. It's been really good for me. Found my girlfriend Danny. So. Yeah, it was a good thing, and it's the worst part about it is the band has suffered mostly through this, because I've done more acoustic shows than full band shows, and it's just there's nothing. It's just what it is. We tried to go as long as we could with paying everybody, and just you can't. Yeah. So, but I think once it comes back, it's going to come back twice as good. So.
Oh yeah, everybody's gonna be ready to get out.
I think it's gonna be a good thing.
I think every musician I've sat down with so far has said the same thing. Like, it's nice to reflect, and then
you get so caught up, man.
And what is it, like that loop?
Like it's
seasons
like you got
touring.
It's all the festivals. It's like, gosh dang it, I can't believe this is my 7th Steamboat. It's like, holy shit, I've been coming here for 7 years. Like, it feels like I just came. You just lose track of time. Yeah, you just lose track of time, especially in this business. As much as we travel, so.
I've been up there one time. That's a really cool festival.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And, COVID is one of those things that's uncontrollable, and there's a lot of uncontrollables in life and things we go through. And one that I read it's a story that you told about getting tricked into doing a show is actually in Steamboat, and it was a wedding.
Oh God. Yeah, where'd you hear that from? That's pretty funny. I was pissed. Some jackass from Houston told us, I don't play weddings. I hate them, and it's no offense to the bride and groom. It's just we just don't do it. There's really not. There is a money amount, but it's yeah, there is a money amount. Everything's got a price, I guess, but I don't do them. But this said it was a company private event, and it was on the way back, and it was pretty low. It wasn't that much money, and we were on our way back from Salt Lake City, and I was like, well, shit, like we're already been out for 15 days. We can go. We can at least pay for the trip. We go do this thing on a Saturday night and get home. So, and it was not for a lot. It was, if it was a wedding, it would have been 5 times as much. Honestly, it was I pulled up and couldn't fucking believe it was a fucking wedding. And the guy knew it. And he was like, he knew he tricked us. When he paid my tour manager out, he was like, sorry, I conned y'all into this. And we played 90 minutes exactly, and we played a fun show, and I didn't speak a word to him, and went out the bus, and I was fucking pissed. Fuck that guy. Asshole. If you're listening, you're an asshole.
How do you handle that stuff, though? I mean, that's just...
You just do it.
The uncontrollables that come...
Well, you talk to your manager and your booking agent about it, and they got fooled, too. I mean, it's just the guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
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 He got it. I guess he got it done. But the best part about it is right as the reception was over, the bride and groom were screaming at each other drunkenly in front of the limousine, and I was like, well, joke's on him. Good luck with that.
That's funny, man. You mentioned tour manager and the business side of it. I'm curious to know, as a musician, as an artist, like how do you separate? And I know you have your people to deal with most of the business stuff at this point for you, but like how do you separate the business side, like following trends and doing that, versus like the art of what you do and staying true to yourself?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm very heavily involved. I'm heavily involved. I mean, we own our own bus, and I'm involved in oil change maintenance, and I'm involved in pretty much every aspect except for merch, because frankly, I just don't fucking care. And I should, because it's 25% of our business. But my manager does a really good job of it, and I'm pretty involved in the touring aspect, planning tours and stuff. It's a very good question because it's a hard one to answer because I've never not done both, so I don't even know how not to. Mm-hmm. But musically, it's always been about, like, when we came out with Ringling Road, we didn't, like, you don't come out with the song thinking people are gonna like that song. Like, that was, we were laughing in the recording studio because we were like, no one's gonna like this song. This is gonna be the least favorite song on the record,
Almost got cut 3 times.
Yeah,
right?
and She Likes the Beatles. We almost didn't record She Likes the Beatles because the band didn't like it, and I was like, well, shoot, if the band doesn't like it, I'm not that married to it, And then we randomly put it on there, and it was our biggest song. So it's like planning, trying to commercialize music. If we're doing that, we've done the worst job of it ever. But we've always just gone with our gut on, and with my band, my best buds in the studio. I was talking to my friend last night about this. But, I have a guy that played drums for me. He's played on every one of my records. He started touring with me and day one when he was 18 years old. He's done every record with me since, except the live records. And, I'll always use him. He's my rock in the studio. And my guitar players are great. And they have a very good sense of what's good and what's not. And so, but they were wrong. They've been wrong about a couple songs. But we try to keep it as organic in the studio and like, my manager's not even allowed in the studio. Nobody's allowed.
Really?
Yeah, no business people allowed in the studio. Yeah, they can. That's not, this art. That's what we do. So, we don't have any influence, but it's a good question because it's hard. That's a hard one to answer. But I'm sure it's influenced. I'm sure it is at some point, subconsciously or what. But never really go into it being like, this song is going to do this for this market and this demographic. I try to write great songs, really. So that's all you have to do is write phenomenal songs, and you can be successful. And in this business, and it's really fucking hard to do. And but it's that simple. You can be, it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter your gender, hair color, or anything. It's just write great songs. People are gonna listen to them. You know what I mean? Right. People like songs.
Right. How do you determine the success of a song or an album? Is it album sold? Is it money made?
Every song has its own path. I think there are songs that we have that get a shitload of spins on Spotify and no one sings at shows. So I don't know if there's just like this group of people that never comes to shows that loves this one song, but like then there's some songs that don't get any spins and they sing every word to it at shows. Yeah. And so for me, we're a touring band. That is our job. We use albums to facilitate that. We are road warriors. That's what we do. We tour for our job. That's what we play shows in towns. We're circus act pretty much, and so the live show is the most important thing for me. Is having a fun, energetic, and I've got 2 of the best guitar players in the scene. No offense to any other guitar players. There's some great ones out there, but my guys are just crazy good, and we like to have a fun, rockin' show, and that's what we focus on, and whatever songs facilitate that. It might not be a song that's more popular than another. It's really just what creates the most fun show.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious to know, like starting out at anything as human beings, like we don't know what we don't know, and so we just go do that thing and then kind of find what sticks, But as your career has grown, do you feel like there's an expectation? I was reading like some of your fans weren't happy with each new album release because it was different than the last album. Mm-hmm. So do you feel that pressure, like an expectation or like an identity that people have painted for you?
No, but as a fan, I'm the same way. Like if I hear a Chris Knight record, I want to hear a fucking Chris Knight record. I don't want him to do anything but his fucking, you know, his records. I like his records. I don't want him to change.
Yeah.
And so I understand. But as an artist, and that's what I've been struggling with this year, is I can sit there and write. I can write the songs that I've done in the past. I can do that all day long. And I don't feel anything from that. So, and songs like Ringling Road that ended up being a great song for me. And, you know, that was a step outside the box. And so I think my fans understand more so that I'm going to do some strange shit than they would others, because I've kind of done it. And so, and you can, you know, I say training fans, but like their expectations are like, what the fuck is he going to write about next? You know what I mean? Yeah. So hopefully I've translated that and not boxed myself in. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest struggle with a songwriter is success versus your artistic want to and know how. And for me, I want to, you know, my records have rock songs, folk songs, country songs, and it's a smorgasbord of stuff. If I wanted to plug the formula in and keep hammering it, I could do that, but I would lose the love for it, and that's the whole only reason if my career ended tomorrow, I'd still write. I always would. I'd still make a record probably. I mean, touring's the hard thing, you know. But if no one showed up to shows anymore and it all went under, I'd still write. I mean, that's the whole reason I did. I mean, it started in 8th grade. I mean, I did it because I don't know if I had to or I just always have.
I'm sure everybody in your industry does hard work, right? Like they put the time in. But I heard you say something that I thought was really cool. It says, you said the realization that there are people out there that are more talented than you and better than you that do not have your work ethic that will not be as successful as you. And then there are people that are less talented than you and with less work ethic and will be more successful than you. You have to do your own thing, work as hard as you can, and accept the results when you get them.
Yeah, I mean, not knowing, it's like that Chris Stapleton song, no one to blame but yourself, you know, no one to blame but me. But yeah, I mean, there are guys who have more talent, more work ethic, and that's the one I guess I've missed out on. There's guys who are more talented and more work ethic and less successful. I mean, I had no answer. You know, I've always worked my ass off, except for this year. But I always have, and I think my success contributes to that. I mean, I think I'd be less successful if I didn't work as hard. But BJ Barham is one of the fucking hardest working sons of bitches out there. I mean, dude, I've yet to see someone fucking hit it as hard as BJ Barham has. And
he has a song lyric about it, right?
The harder you work, the luckier you get. Yeah, he's right, and he's smart, and he works his ass. I have nothing but respect for him for that because I did it. And Coach O's did it. We did it together. I mean, we were in the fucking truck at the same time, pulling U-Hauls. I mean, Mike Ryan, they all busted their ass and they put the time, put the sacrifices in, and there were guys that were badass who did the same thing, and they're not around anymore. Yeah, they got real jobs, and I don't know why, and I don't know why. I don't know why any of it happened. You know, I don't know. You know, our success has not been extreme. You know, I feel like we've made a good career, and you know, I'm able to be in a bus, which is awesome, and I'm at a source of income that I feel comfortable with, you know, that I feel like I could make if I wasn't in the music business, you know? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's all good. I'm able to make a living doing what I love, which is writing songs, and I get to run my own business. It's like, shit, if I can do that, never have to work for anybody, that's kind of the goal. You know, to live, you get one shot this life, and if you're able to do what you love, I mean, what I naturally did without anybody telling me to do it or how to do it, and just kind of naturally did it and made a career out of it, it's pretty cool. I feel very fortunate, but I mean, our success has not been like amazing, you know. I feel like what the work we put in, we've got what we put into it, you know. We've worked our ass off, and we've got results from it, and our fan base is like the best, and hopefully we can grow it, you know. I don't know the answer to that either, you know. Yeah. My next record, you know, people might not like it. I don't think I'll like it because I've never released a record that I haven't. But yeah, it can be taken away in 2 seconds. You know, you can come out with a record or piss them. You know, I don't know. And we might be done growing, we might not be. I mean, shit. We might be on top of the world in 5 years, and we might be dead in the ditch. I mean, I have no clue.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the exciting part of it, is because you just can't. You know, I've watched guys. I thought their careers were over, and they come out with the record, and shoot, they're freaking back on top. You know, and it's just like I said, people love great songs, and that's kind of the goal for a record for me, is to have a collaboration of great songs.
I think it goes back, and it's cliche to say, like, really to know your why, like why you're doing what you're doing, because there are going to be ups and downs and shit that's out of your
It's
control.
a fucking shit show. Like, who fucking saw this year coming? Nobody.
Right.
And I always thought I'd lose my arm or leg in some dumb, PTO incident or something on my tractor, or lose my voice. But I mean, I was in Mexico and came back, and my career was over.
Yeah.
That's how it felt like.
Right.
It was like, everything's canceled. Like, not just the weekend, because we were kind of canceling weeks, weekend here or a show here, and still doing the one. And it was like,
Yeah.
we're done. For how long? We don't know. But you're free, and I've never been free of it, so it was nice to be home.
Yeah.
It really was.
What about tell me this, like the comparison game? Did you ever get caught up in that early on in your career?
Like comparing to other acts?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody goes through a stage like that.
How do you overcome that?
I mean, it's
as
like
a young musician.
No, it's like maybe you've seen guys pass us by. Like, when Parker and Co started doing extremely well, and they're on top. They're on fucking cloud 9 right now. And yeah, whenever they started passing us by, and we'd see them on bills and festivals, and be like, and we'd have to support, or, which I have no problem now, but yeah, you got to swallow your pride a little bit, because, shit, they're 26, 27 years old, and, my career wasn't that, but you can't compare. Everyone has a different path, and it is tough to swallow at first, and I have nothing but love for those guys and respect,
Right.
But yeah, of course, whenever you're big dog on main stage and you're headlining, and all of a sudden within a year span, they've got, they're taking that spot. It's like, yeah, it's of course it's tough, because you work so hard to get there, and it's so, it's the biggest high you'll ever have is playing fucking Saturday Night Larry Joe Taylor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In front of 30,000 fucking people. But but yeah, I mean, it's a slice of humble pie, which is probably needed.
Right.
So and it makes you want to work harder and get better, and maybe feel like maybe I got a little lazy, and I should not let that happen again. And but yeah, I'm nothing but the bigger those guys are, the better for this scene in general. So I'm as much of a cheerleader, but there ain't a fucking songwriter, or there ain't a lead singer around that doesn't have a little bit of ego with that, or have to swallow a pill with that a little bit, for sure.
I'm curious to know, I'm sure you get asked about songwriting a lot, like what is your process? I'll get more granular, like Ringling Road. Can you tell me the process you went through to write that specific song?
Fucking the dumb luck or somebody, I don't even know. But yeah, when I was in Eastland, there was this road called Ringling Road, and I asked about it, and my cousin told me that, and I don't even know if the story's true, but back in the 20s, there was a big oil boom, and you have Thurber, Ranger Hill, and then Eastland and Cisco. And there's about 300,000 people that lived within those 3 towns, or 4 towns, I guess it is. And this big oil boom, and it was like a tent city. And there was more people in those 3 towns than were in Dallas-Fort Worth at that time. And the Ringling brothers bought this piece of property to build an amusement park, because they thought that was going to be the new Metroplex. They thought Thurber, if you drove through these towns, you would be like, holy shit, they get it wrong. And so they bought this piece of property. They're going to build like a Six Flags, like type of amusement park there. They bought this 300 acres. Well, the oil boom went bust, and so they ended up not building the amusement park, and the town's just depleted. But they'd still, they'd travel by train. They still travel to that piece of property, which they had a switch on the track that would go to the property, and they had this big lake on. They'd let all the animals out, and they'd camp out for the night. So I just thought it'd be cool to have write a song about what the circus does on the off days. And then I was in Nashville. I was telling my buddy Ross Cooper about it, who I write a lot of songs with, who I wrote that song with. And I was telling him about the idea, and he was like, "Holy shit, dude!" I was like, "I met this guy last night that was a carny for 10 years in Florida in the circus. He's a badass songwriter. He's got to get him on the right." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And so we sat down in the room with a bottle of whiskey, and to be real honest with you, outside the idea and kind of putting boundaries up in the right, like those two just went at it, and they wrote the song in I don't know, hour and a half maybe, and I don't even know what I wrote in the song. I'm sure I contributed some, but I remember I was on the ass end of that, of helping.
Really?
Because they were just, it was work. What they were doing was working, and I wasn't going to mess it up.
Yeah.
I mean, they were talking to each other, and they were going after it, and they wrote that song. I really didn't have that much to write in that song because I didn't want to mess up what they were doing because it was so great. And then I played the song on some radio station, and then everybody in fucking Eastland got mad at me. They started, doing stuff on Twitter telling me I'm a piece of shit and all this stuff for writing a song about that. And, yeah, fuck them. It's just a song. So, when I get feelings hurt, I guess you can. So, but yeah, I've had chains thrown at my face in Eastland from a cashier.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. For a song, stupid song like that.
What's typical process for you then? You sitting down with pen and paper, or you just writing stuff down as you go?
I'm a pen and paper guy. I don't do the tablet stuff. I'm pretty old school with that. Song can be crafted in any way, really. There's, like I said, with that Ringling Road Right, it's like sometimes you got to sit back and let don't fuck up what's going on,
Yeah.
And that rarely happens, but that was one of those moments where they just, they were doing such a good job. I didn't have to have my input, They were doing a good job on their own, so.
It's almost like just listening to we interviewed Coulter Wall yesterday. It's like whenever you can just let go, like he goes and does manual labor, and then the ideas and thoughts start coming. And it seems like the more, as an artist, the more you let go, the more it just seems to kind of flow.
Man, I feel like the worse my life is, the better my writing is. I really do feel that. Some of my best songs are my lowest points, in life. And so happiness kind of scares me a little bit. But I'm not one of those guys that has to write every day. And some guys have to keep it, like the pen sharpened always, and just constantly do it, keep that muscle working. It just, if I'm not inspired by something, I'm fucking out. Like, I'll beat a dead horse, and I won't like it, and I'll be negative about it, and I'll just be like, it'd be a waste of time.
Yeah.
So I really have to want to, and I really have to be in the zone. And we're about to go in the studio here in January. Bringing back our old producer, Rachel Loy, who did Rose Queen Ringling Road, which I'm really excited about having her back. And she's actually playing bass on it, and she's like a badass bass player. So I'm really excited about that. We have like 4 songs. I have like 15 songs. We have 4 really fucking good songs. That's it.
Yeah.
And so once we get in the studio for that first session, I typically split my records up into 2 sessions. And once we go in for that first session, it happens every time. I'd go in with like 4 or 5 songs, and we'll do half the record, and then I'll just be like, boom, I'll know exactly what the record needs, and I'll go, and then I'll go write it, and then I'll get excited about it. But the first 4 songs of the record will always come from like the low places, and then once I figure out what the record needs, then I can go figure, and I have an idea of what I need to write for the rest of the record. But it always seems to happen. Those first time we come in a record, the first half of the record, it's always like the songs that mean the most to me. And then the second half are like where the fun songs kind of come out.
I see.
And that's where like Ringling Road came out in the second half. A lot of those fun. She Likes the Beatles came out. Actually, I wrote She Likes the Beatles the day before we recorded it. Finished it.
Shit.
Yeah, we finished it the day before we recorded it.
That was just one session, like you just sat down and...
No, there's actually, I wish we could find that text thread, because me and Brian Keene wrote that song together, and we have like 30 verses for that song, and we picked the funniest, best verses. But it would be cool to do a She Likes the Beatles Part 2 and bring back the other verses that we had in, and some were like raunchy and like way too far.
Do you ever mix those in like at live shows? The alternate versions?
No, there's only one that my old bass player Cameron Moreland used to say. It's She Likes the Beatles and I Like to Get Stoned. She likes the Beatles and I like to get stoned. She likes the Beatles, I like to get stones, and I'm fucking high. So I have done that one before. Yeah, I wish I could remember some of those old verses, because some of them were not politically correct, which would have been great. So
yeah. So I'm going to selfishly ask this one. So I played the guitar on a very amateur/elementary
Me too.
GCD.
Me too.
Advice for writing songs. What advice do you have for me if I want to go sit down and
The
write
best
a song?
advice I ever had was from Larry Joe Taylor, and it changed my career. He goes, man, your writing is great, but your songs have no melody. And this is right, Misunderstood, this is right. He said this literally before I wrote Rose Queen, right after Misunderstood. And I said, well, what's melody? And he looks and he goes, you've been on an elevator? said, well, yeah. And he goes, you know what elevator music is? And I was like, well, yeah, I've heard elevator music. He goes, no, you ever notice how by the time you're on the top of you get to the top story or wherever you're going, you're humming the song that's on the elevator? I was like, yeah. He goes, that's fucking melody. He's like, if you can't hum it, if you can't get it stuck in your head, then that changed my life. And that's when, honestly, She Likes the Beatles came out, literally, like maybe a week I wrote the chorus of that. And that She Likes the Beatles is kind of has a nursery rhyme feel. I think that's why kids, I didn't know this when I was writing it, but I think that's why kids, like children, like the song so much. Like 4-year-olds sing the song because it has this nursery rhyme melody that they gets hooked. They don't even know what the song's about, but they just sing it.
Catchy, yeah.
And so
Sticky.
that's really the goal, is to find, because you can write pretty words together and make poetry and you could write the greatest song in the world, but it's like there's no melody and people they're not as attracted to it. So I think that's just the most important thing. And you can have, for GC&D, you can have 20,000 different melodies for the GC&D. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's just, that's really what I've been focusing on lately, is finding just these beautiful melodies, you know. When you sing a song and you don't know the words, that's melody. You know, you don't really know what's coming. You can sing it, but you maybe can't remember the words. Yeah. That's melody. And that's the most important thing as a songwriter. And you can know 3 chords and write amazing songs with amazing melodies. And that's the key. It's hard to figure out really how to do it too.
How long did it take? Like, how long did that?
Once he told me that, I mean, I think I wrote a song and he was like, now that's melody. And I was like, oh, all I gotta do is that? But he couldn't tell me how to do it. You know what I mean?
Kind of like a feel thing?
Yeah, it is.
Kinda
It's like you go into like a chorus. So I write a lot of choruses first now. But I'll go into a chord progression and I'll sing the melody first. Yeah. And I'll get in that kind of, and I'll figure out where the melody thing it needs to go, and then I'll match it with my chord progression. So I've been writing a lot of choruses first. And it can also get you kind of trouble writing the choruses first, because you kind of tell a story before you get there, you know?
Yeah.
But I'll turn into more of a melody person than I have a word person, because I used to be all word person, didn't care about melodies, but now I love melodies, which has been fun. It's been different. So, and the songs will change with that, you know.
People talk about it with, you know, training horses, like it's a feel. You can't really teach feel. It's just a matter of putting out.
I could see that. I could totally see that. Yeah. I could totally see that. Yeah, and I've done it so much, it's just like second nature now. But that was the best piece of advice I've gotten in the music business, was when he told me that.
What's the worst piece of advice you've gotten?
Oh God.
Or the worst advice you hear in your industry a lot?
You're not good enough. I think a lot of young guys hear that a lot and gets, you know, I don't even know if Randy would want me to tell this story, but I'm gonna tell it anyways. I'll ask for forgiveness later. But there's 2 parts to this story. I think when I was growing up, I was ADD kid. I was a C student from 5th grade on. I couldn't take tests. In fact, I graduated from college is a fucking miracle. I didn't even get accepted to Tarleton State. I didn't even get accepted to Tarleton State. That's how bad my SAT scores were, and I graduated on the minimum requirement from high school.
Yeah, we got a lot in common then.
And there was never another out. It was always, you know, my dad is a doctor. He's a brilliant man. I did not get that. I did not get my dad's brain. And my mom's a nurse. She's super smart. Didn't get her brain either. But there was no outlet growing up to really go pursue. This was, I mean, it wasn't an obtainable goal. Like I said, I never thought it was possible. I just thought it was pipe dreams. Like when they tell you in college, high school football, it's like, now some of you guys, there's like a couple of you guys are gonna. For some of you guys, I'll tell you, freshman year, some of you guys are gonna go, might be lucky enough to play college ball, and probably none of you are gonna go play NFL. So make sure you get your grades right, because you're gonna need them. You're gonna need it, because football is not the ticket out of here. And that's kind of how I felt being a songwriter was. Just like to be George Strait was one shot in a million. Only the lucky select few get to do that, you know. And I'm just not gonna put all my eggs in that basket. I was told that it wasn't possible too, and it totally was. Totally was. And there's guys, I think they hear that too young. Randy is famous. I don't know if he wants to tell you, so I'm going to tell you anyways. But Randy has a letter that he got from Green Hall. And Randy, you know, Randy's never played Green Hall except the last 2 years. He played with Robert O'Keen, a song swap, I think 3 years ago, and then he played recently. Yeah. And for his entire career, he never played Green Hall. He lives fucking down the street. Because of a letter, he sent a demo in when they first started. And they wrote a letter back to him saying, we don't think you're good enough to play this venue, or really anyway, you might want to try a different avenue. And they were trying to be nice.
Yeah.
But he still has the letter. And I don't know how rude it was or how, I don't know. I don't think it had any malicious intent. And actually, it was probably trying to help him because they just didn't think that he had a shot. But look at what he did.
Yeah, right.
And he's the king. But I think a lot of parents don't understand. I wouldn't wish this on my kids, but it's been a great learning experience for me. I mean, I've learned so many invaluable lessons, and I've met a lot of incredible people. I've met a lot of terrible people. And the terrible people have taught me more lessons than the incredible people have,
I envy that in a way. It's like, I call it social conditioning. Like we're taught to go to school and get a good job, whether you be a doctor or a lawyer, and what you love to do kind of just takes a back seat. But you flip that. Most musicians I sit down with, y'all all have scars and battle wounds of going through the trenches and doing the deal, because that's what you love to do. And then the money comes and success and fame comes, and that's a byproduct.
Yeah,
it's cool.
And it can, and it's like, I'm not trying to sit here and say I'm an idiot. Like, I mean, if I was, I told myself when I was 30 years old, if I was out, I was going to give it hell, and I wasn't going to chase a pipe dream, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. And I knew that going into it, but it was also a hard decision at 30, because when I turned, 28, 29, I was making money, but I still wasn't making enough to really, for what I was hoping to, but it was enough. And then it progressively got better, thank God. But it still had to make a decision, it's just the rest of your life. You get one chance to do it, and so, the music business, it takes a lot of sacrifices to do it. And the marriage with kids thing is very difficult in this line of work, and so it's just trying to figure out what's important,
I've got just a couple more for you, and then I'll ask you some rapid fire stuff. You mentioned some pretty big names just in our conversation so far. I'm curious to know who were some mentors for you early on and still today.
Well, the guy, not a mentor, but my hero, the reason I write the songs I do, the reason I go by my full name, his name's Willistown Ramsey, and he had a record out in the 70s. You ever heard that song Muskrat Love? It's a 70s song, 80s song, but he has like 4 Billboard #1 hits on that record that other people covered. He was a songwriter, and like Lyle Lovett was a huge fan of his, and he's the reason that he is my biggest hero. My biggest mentor in the business world, of the music business, is Josh Abbott. He's been there for me. He's put me on countless shows. He's been the most selfless friend in the music business that I've had. And Wade is up there too. Wade's been really selfless.
Did you and Josh Abbott come up together?
He came up before me. He was already doing pretty well, not extremely well. They were in a Suburban, an air conditioning Suburban, but it was coming. When I first started a band, so I was playing songwriter nights, and I actually played a show once a week in Lubbock at this fucking hotel bar for 3 years.
Say that again. You played a hotel bar for 3 years?
Every Monday night for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I turned 21. Then I went to Blue Light. So when I went to Blue Light, that's where I met Josh, 21. When I was 21. So Josh is, I don't know, he's old. So he's like 40 or something when I met him. That was a joke. But, he was like she was like 27, 28. I was 21. And yeah, they were just kind of in the frat scene going, but they were packing venues in Midland and doing some shows, and they was opening up for Randy and opening up for Pat in Lubbock,
yeah.
and it was coming, and so Josh gave me he had a residency at Blue Light. He gave me his residency. That's where with Charlie Shafter. That's where I met Charlie Shafter. We didn't know each other. We literally walked on stage, shook hands. Hey, I'm William. He's like, I'm Charlie. I'm friends with Josh. He's like, yeah, I'm friends with Josh too. He gave us this residency. Looks like we're getting to know each other. So, but I was 21 years old when that happened, and but Josh, business-wise, Josh has just helped me so much. Making me get a radio promoter, helping me get a radio promoter, going on radio tour, doing all the things I really didn't want to do because I was kind of the impression that my music speaks for itself, but really hammering in that, no, you got to go work. You got to go do radio interviews every day. You got to get in your truck and you go meet every fucking program director in the state because they're the only outlet for playing music. Back then there was no Spotify.
Right.
There's no iTunes. Actually, I guess there was iTunes, but no one was fucking buying, everyone's still buying albums.
Yeah.
No one buys CDs anymore. So yeah, hitting the pavement like that, I learned a lot of lessons through him, and then he's just been a dear friend. And then musically, Kent Finley, Cheatham Street Warehouse, he passed away a few years ago from cancer, but he was my mentor songwriter wise, and he would always tell me when something wasn't good enough, and I always appreciated that because it came from an honest, good place, you know. And I wrote a few songs. One of my biggest songs we ever had is "Still Thinking About You." I wrote with him. The last song I ever wrote with him before he died, and we wrote it in Steamboat when we were doing honoring him in his life before he died because we all knew it was kind of coming. It was like he couldn't leave his condo because he had no energy. I mean, he was dying of cancer, so we wrote that song, and that song means a lot to me. No, and that's why we have a live at Chim Street record. But yeah, we'd go eat barbecue. I was back when I was living in my truck, and I'd be down in San Marcos for couch surfing and whatever for a week or two, and my band kind of lived down there too, so I was down there a lot because the band and everything was down there. So me and Kent would always go out to lunch, and I didn't even know he had cancer. He had it twice. I didn't even know. So when he told me he had cancer, it was a huge shock, Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, I beat it once, I can beat it again." And I didn't even know he had it previously, but he was a good friend, a good songwriter friend. It's really all he cared about, talked about was that Chilean. And that's what the Chile song. Have you heard the Chile song?
Oh yeah, dude, I love it.
That's because we were writing. Me and my buddy Charlie Stout, who was a big lover of Kent too, and we were writing this shitty song one day, and he was like, "We just need to write a song Kent would like." And then I was like, "Well, what did Kent like?" And he's like, "Well, Kent likes chili," and that's when we wrote the song to honor him.
Yeah.
But
I don't like beans in my chili either.
But you can. It's chili beans.
All right, man. Tell me this: if you, hypothetically speaking, if you could go back in time, knowing what you know now and having done everything that you've done, if you could go back in time and give yourself advice, what advice would that be?
I mean, there's a fucking handful of things. Quit smoking, quit dipping. No, you can't because you can't because you have to learn the hard way. You have to. You can't. I wouldn't want to not learn the hard way. And half of my mistakes that I made ended up being good things. Like every time I lost a band member, I thought the world was ending, and it turned out being better. So it's like, I would have just been like, I would have told myself not to worry so much. But fuck, if I wouldn't have worried, I wouldn't have worked as hard. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd give myself any advice. I just tell everybody. I tell everyone that I know, pretty much what that quote is right there. I know people that are twice as talented and make no money, and I know people that are half as talented and make, that are successful. I mean, don't know if you don't try, So,
no, I like that. I mean, that's a
I don't know if I'd give myself
great
any
answer
advice.
because I firmly believe everything that happens in life happens just as it's supposed to, and I'm of the mindset it's happening for me and not to me. As woo woo as that shit may be.
No, I'm with you. I feel guided through this whole experience. I don't know if it's a guardian angel. I don't know, but it definitely seems bigger than this. And it sounds stupid to talk about, but it's true. I see it all. I mean, it's just there are such integral life decisions that I had, making a decision this way, one way or another, that I didn't realize were at the time, and I just kind of went that path, Even just going to tech, quitting that feedlot, going to college, which I did not want to go to college, but somehow I was guided to do it. My roommates, even my roommates I got potluck in at college, like, he was a songwriter too, and he had a steady gig at that hotel bar every Monday night. That was the start of it, and I just definitely feel guided through it. We've gotten fucking lucky as shit on the highway not dying. Literally, we had we were in Amarillo, 55 mile an hour winds, 60 mile an hour winds. The van and trailer could only do 45 miles an hour. That's how hard the wind was blowing. I was pedal to the floor, and I could only do 45 miles an hour. And we were right outside of, Tulia. And we were about to pull off, and this fucking perforated cattle trailer that was empty starts passing us, and he's gaining like an inch or two every minute. And so he's full throttle too, and he ain't going nowhere. And so he finally gets in front of us, but the back of the trailer is right over the cab of the van. And this gust of wind blows, and the fucking trailer tips like this, and it's coming. It's coming to smash the fucking van. And then the fucking gust of wind blew it back. It was on its way, and then it just...
Were you driving?
Fuck yeah, I was driving. And it just like... I mean, I just don't see how we hadn't died. I mean, we put so many miles. We put half a million miles in this van trailer. Nobody's buckled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I'm not as religious as I should be, but I am. I try to go to church as much as I can, which is a lie. I try to go sometimes, but I mean, it's not me. I don't think so. Even some of the songs I've written, and like I said, Ringling Rotor Selects People's like, why do those songs make the record? You know, I don't know. I have no idea, or even how they got written. I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's like an intuition.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish I don't have an answer.
I'll roll into some of these rapid fires, and then do you mind playing one before we get out of here?
No,
Kind of wrap it up.
I didn't bring a guitar. You got one I can play?
Got one
Yeah,
up
absolutely.
here. Something that you do, maybe a hobby that most people don't know about you.
I got cows. I enjoy it. I've only got 7 mama cows. Well, I had 7. Now I have 4. I have 5. And 2 donkeys. Fiona and Minnie Jenny. Minnie Jenny is she's a miniature donkey. She's funny. But Fiona's a rescue donkey from this farm that got fucked up in a tornado outside of Eastland. But I like having my small herd. I like having a small herd. It's easy. I'm just like a normal guy. I like to hunt. We have a family ranch down Beaumont. I duck hunt. I got an airboat. I love being on the coast. I love cooking gumbo. Like I make the best gumbo, I think. And just cooked the brisket last night. Went to Kroger. Yeah, I'm just a typical guy. Like I went shit faced to Kroger last night. Bought a brisket. And my girlfriend told me not to do it, so I did it. That's really made me want to go do it because she told me not to. So, so I stayed until 4 o'clock in the morning drinking tequila with my buddy, smoking a brisket. And I'm pretty normal when it comes to that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm a typical guy. I like my trucks. I like my tractors. I got skid steer and I got a old Anaheim John Deere that I love. And just typical.
Yeah, that's awesome. What all instruments do you play?
Just guitar. I can't even play the fucking harmonica. I'm not a musician. I'm really not. Like people that say, like when I say I'm not a good guitar player, people are like, oh no, they think I'm like doubting myself. No, I know I'm a songwriter. Just I got 2 badass guitar players to my right and left. But I'm not good. I've never really worked at it either. I've always been focused on songwriting. Like really, I just never really cared to get better, which is dumb. I should.
Yeah.
It's my job, but I just like writing songs.
Do you ever listen to your own music? Like
Yes.
If you're on a road trip? You'll put it when you're out?
Not in my truck, really, but I've listened to my catalog in the bus, rolling down the road. There's 2 reasons why. One is either I'm shit-faced and I want to recap everything we've done, and also study it, figure out what we did wrong too. And that Live at Cheatham Street record, I'll be real honest with you, I love listening to it, and I'm not ashamed of it. It's my proudest work to date. That acoustic record is, in my opinion, badass, and I genuinely love listening to it. But no, I don't jam it run down the highway. But if I do it, I'm in the bus, like in my bunk, listening on headphones, and I'll watch. I watch like the live at Cheatham Street, our video that we have on YouTube. I watch that whole show just because it's like I'm so proud of the guys. Like they freaking crushed it. We didn't do one overdub that entire live record, and they crushed it. And a lot of people don't know this, but we were lit by the end of that show. We had more Jaeger bombs than the camera let us, because we were nervous wrecks. But yeah, I don't like listen to it. I don't listen to it like driving down the road or anything. But if I listen on the bus with the guys, like we'll go back and study it. It's more of a studying, being proud, like, oh, that was badass. Ooh, I forgot that. Or like, man, we don't even play this lick anymore, and this is the signature lick of the song. We're not even doing this at live shows. Why are we not doing that?
Yeah, almost like watching film, like a football player.
Yeah, kind of. But I do it. I mean, I like my music. I'm not afraid of that. It's what I don't hate it, but also like, I don't walk into a bar and play myself on the fucking jukebox.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm proud of that Cheatham Street record. I think it sounds great. And
yeah, that's awesome. Before you get to the song, where can people find your music on the interwebs?
It's Spotify, iTunes. We prefer buying old albums because the artwork, we put a lot of money in this artwork and no one gets to see it anymore because it's all this digital cube, you know.
Yeah.
But we sell actual records too, so all that stuff's online. And
What's the website?
WilliamClarkGreen.com.
Right on, brother.
Yeah. Give it your best and try not to regret the past. It's a give and a take. Some things you just can't take back. And I pulled you in just to push you away, searching for words that I know I should say, but I wasn't expecting thought of you leaving today. I don't want you to go, but God knows you need to. And just so you know, well, damn it, I love you, and I don't know how it all seemed to die in my arms. You don't have to try to be every little thing I need anymore. This house that I bought for you feels like a big waste of space. I took a night off from drinking and finally cleaned up the place. I've tried to be who you want me to be, as you tried to fit in this life that I lead. So let's take a step back and focus and try to breathe. I don't want you to go, but God knows you need to. And just so you know, well, damn it, I love you, and I don't know how it all seemed to die in my arms. You don't have to try to be every little thing I need anymore. And I'm so sick of fighting, but constantly trying just to let each other down. I don't want you to go, but God knows you need to. And just so you know, well, damn it, I love you, and I don't know why it all seemed to die in my arms. I don't want you to go, but God knows you need to. And just so you know, well, damn it, I love you, and I don't know why it all seemed to die in my arms. You don't have to try to be every little thing I need anymore.
William Clark Green, ladies and gentlemen. Dude, thanks for coming in, man. I've had a hell of a time with
Yeah,
you.
dude.
Thank you.
Thanks for the great questions for fucking once.
Yeah.
And making the time worth it. So
Yeah, I appreciate it, and thank you for your time again. Thank
Yeah.
you to Schaefer Outfitter for hosting us here.
yeah, man, this place good t-shirt too.
Oh, there you go.
Denim Dan.
Rocking the tuxedo.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, dude, I enjoyed it.
Thank you very
William
much.
Clark Green. Yeah, go check him out.